When I was younger, my parents bought me and my siblings a set of 3D wooden puzzles exactly like this. They're basically like 3D jigsaw puzzles, and the goal is to take them apart and put them back together. It sounds simple enough, but these things are really difficult. Recently I've been trying to improve my 3D modelling skills, and when I took these out of the box and had a look at them, I had a light bulb moment. What if I could recreate these using 3D printing, and then that way if I ever want to give them to someone, rather than having to buy the wooden ones again, I can just print one out and hand it over to them. So in this video, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. I'm going to share with you guys how I took a few of these puzzles, modelled them in Fusion 360 and then 3D printed them. I've broken down the modelling process into small details, so if anybody wants to follow along and make these themselves, hopefully they can. And with all that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. The first step was to disassemble the puzzle into its individual parts, and that was actually harder than it looks. Alright guys, so before we jump into the modelling process, let's take a minute to look at the overall geometries of these pieces. So I've got two different pieces here, and off the bat you can see they're very similar in shape and size. And essentially they're all the same piece to start off with, and then afterwards they have unique cutouts and extrusions into them. So this is piece F, and you can see it's just a simple rectangular extrusion. This is another piece, it's almost identical to F to start with, and then it's got this uniquely shaped cutout which then helps it fit into the overall puzzle. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start with F first, make copies as we go, and then using the calipers take the measurements needed to cut out these extrusions, and then we'll go from there. I've also noted that these pieces have a very slight fillet along the corners and edges, so we're going to have to build that in as well. It's very faint, but it just means that for printing it will be a bit easier, but also fitting the pieces together. So that's the plan. We're going to load up Fusion 360. I'm going to model the first two pieces on camera, and then we'll do a little speed run through to the end, and then we can go from there. Right guys, here we are in Fusion, and to start off with we're going to create a new component, and we're just going to simply call this piece F. And start a sketch. We're going to start off with the main shape, which is a square / rectangle, and then we'll go ahead and extrude that in a moment. So let's get our calipers, just make sure everything is zeroed out properly. That's good. And let's measure the overall shape first, see what we were working with here. So 11.98 by 12.12, so that's our overall shape to start with. So 11.98, 12.12. great. Now what we're going to do is hit E for extrude, and we're going to see how long this overall piece is, and use our calipers again. 45.18 millimeters, so 45.18. So that's basically piece F done. This is a little fillet guide that I printed from Printables. I'll leave a link in the description. It is so handy. So let's see what size fillet we're going to add to this. So this is a size 1, so you guys can see, and just about make out even the size 1 is too big. So I'm going to eyeball it and say the fillet we're going to add is 0.5. So we select all the edges, press F for fillet, and then 0.5, and just like that, that is piece F done. So now that we've got the first piece modelled, we can use that almost as a little template and go ahead with the others. So if you look at this piece, it's basically a duplicate of piece F, but it's got two cutouts. You've got one cutout here, and then if you flip it, you've got another one there. So I'm going to go ahead and in Fusion I'm going to duplicate piece F, and then see if I can get away with just two simple extrusions using the cut function. So let's see how that goes. So over in Fusion we're going to go ahead and we're going to say copy, and then paste new, and we're just going to rename this. I can't remember what this piece was called, but for now we'll just stick with F. Rename, I think this was piece, I I'm going to say it was piece B. I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter too much anyway. So let's get rid of piece F now. I'm going to go back to before the fillets were done, only because it makes it a little bit easier. Let's have a look at our calipers and then take some measurements. So if we're looking at it from this view, the first cut starts at about 16.3 mil and is off camera, sorry, 16.3 and it's 12.16 mil wide. So let's go ahead and do a sketch on any of the surfaces. Let's just do it there. So we're looking for a rectangle there, and we're going to use some distances. So it was, let's check that again. From the top it was 16.3 and the cutout itself was 12.10. Lovely. Now we're going to use the extrude function. We're going to measure how deep the cut goes. So from this side, if we use the calipers in reverse, we can use this little ruler function. It goes in by 6.76 millimeters. So minus 6.76. Lovely. So that's our first cut done. Now we're going to do something similar on this surface here. So another sketch. We're going to flip this way, and now our second cutout from the bottom edge starts 10.49. So we're going to do another rectangle, just sort of like that. Distance that 10.49. Lovely. And the cutout itself is 12.08. Lovely. And again, we're going to extrude both these faces. How deep does this one go? We use our calipers again. 6.56, so minus 6.56. And there we have it, guys. And now we're going to go ahead and add all of our fillets back. So we hit forward. And there we go. I'm actually going to remove that fillet command because it doesn't include all the new faces and edges we've created. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that again. There we go. And now, if I just rotate this over a little bit, it looks identical to this piece over here. Have a look over here. Just comparing the two. Perfect. Right, guys. So that's how we did the first two pieces. I'm going to go ahead now and on camera model the rest, but I'll speed this bit up, and then if you want to follow along you can slow things down. In the future, if you guys want me to avoid speeding up videos, especially for these modeling parts, please let me know, and I'm happy to take that feedback on board. But otherwise, let's go ahead and model the rest of the pieces. Right, guys, so as I was getting to the last piece, I've made an important discovery. These two pieces, I think these are pieces B and C, I'm not sure. This was the second one that we modeled, and then this was the last one that was left. If I put them side by side, these are basically mirror images of each other. So in a minute I'll show you, but what I'm going to do, rather than modeling this again from using F as a base point, I'm simply just going to mirror this one along this axis. It'll be a bit easier if I show you in Fusion. I'll mirror this one and I'll save it as a new component, and then we should have a copy of this piece here, saving a bit of time. So let's head over into Fusion and do that, and hopefully it works. And here we are guys, all 6 pieces finished and modelled. So if we zoom in, we've added some nice fillets, and my hope is that when it comes to assembly, the fillets will help the pieces fit together. I have a feeling we're going to have to add some offsets in these sort of fit together areas, or the fitting surfaces if you like, but I'm going to go ahead and get these printed off now. We're going to pick some nice colours for the pieces. There's 6 pieces, I'm going to pick 2 different colours so we can have a 3 and 3 split, and just adds a little bit of a nice aesthetic, and hopefully we can get this fit together. So let's go ahead and pick some nice filaments. Right guys, so here we are over by the 3D printers. So in my Mark IV, I've loaded up this nice copper PETG, so we'll do half the pieces in that. And then on my 3.9 we've got some standard black PETG. I think copper and black make a nice contrasting set. Let's go ahead and get everything sliced up, and then we can send it over to the printers. I brought the parts over into Prusa Slicer and got them ready for printing. I sent half of the pieces to one of my printers and the other half to another. Once the parts had finished printing and now taken them off the build plates, it was time to have a go at putting it all together. Right guys, so we've run into a bit of a situation with this, and as I suspected, the tolerances have caught us out. So this black piece is meant to fit into this insert within the copper piece, and I've tried sort of forcing it in and seeing if I can just ease things up a little bit, but this is just way too tight. And rather than hacking it away with the deburring tool or something, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get this printed. So I'm going to hop over back into Fusion 360, increase the tolerance here a little bit, and then hopefully this should work. So let's have another go in a few minutes. With the modified part in hand, it was time to have a second go, and I was feeling cautiously optimistic. And this was the final assembled puzzle, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The 3D printed puzzle is really similar to the wooden one. It comes apart and fits together exactly the same, and with 3D printing I'm able to use different colours, and I think this combination looks really nice. So following the exact same process, I was able to replicate a couple of the other puzzles using 3D printing, and I think these turned out looking amazing as well. And that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing and commenting down below. As usual, I'm going to leave some links to similar projects that I made, and I'll see you guys next time.